Yeah, I don't allow other apps to draw over other apps. I got all kinds of stuff going on.
Oh, yeah. You're a real special flower when it comes to technology.
Well, I'm a weed.
Yeah, that's more accurate. Yeah, you're not a flower, you're a weed.
Uh-huh. Yeah, weeds can have flowers.
Yeah, they're called dandelions, and only children like them.
The Chinese make tea out of them, so there you go.
Yeah, and it tastes horrible. Bitter.
We gonna do this or what?
I'm waiting on you, old man. You're the guy with notes here.
Okay. Welcome again to another episode of Drake and the Maestro. Almost relevant.
Cooperate voluntarily. If you do, I give you my word that you will not be harmed or your mind's changed in any way.
Yeah. So,
you call it? Or were you going to call in well today? Well, you're not coming in.
Yeah, exactly. Give your employer, listeners out there, you want a little extra time off for the holidays, right? Because Christmas is a Thursday, right? So you should be taking off the front. Come on,
Is this the Drake's unethical life hacks?
Correct. That's correct. Like, I was surprised the dealership was they had their employees working the Friday after Thanksgiving, right? Come on.
Yeah, Black Friday.
Yeah, don't do that. If you're
the only people that do that are retail.
Yeah, if you're an employer, first of all, even if you have your office people in, are you really going to get any work done that Friday? I mean,
no. Really,
honestly, Bob, I only do about 2 hours of work a day anyway. So then,
right.
On holidays.
Well, between all the meetings and all the meetings that could have been emails and.
I mean, I would have everybody in, have an office party. It would be because you're going to have one anyway. Might as well officially sanction it.
Well,
it's good. And then just have someone casually answer the phone. Change your phone message to "This is so and so at such and such a company. I may help you."
Right. Just when you said casually answer the phone, the first thing I thought was just someone answering the phone going, "Yeah,
yeah."
Not even like a hello. This is thank you for calling such and such a business. How may I direct your call? It's just yep. What do you want?
Yep. Take it to the ultimate casual Friday. So
yeah.
And if you want to do that, if your boss isn't giving you the Friday off, or actually any day off that you want, don't call in sick. Call in well. Well, I'm not coming in.
Right. I used to preface all my time off requests when I worked retail with "This is not a request. This is for your information."
Yeah, right. Just this is just 24-hour notice.
I'm giving you a week and a half to figure it out. Figure it out.
Yeah. Yep.
Because I won't be here. Well, then you might not have a job. Well, then we'll both have to figure that out, won't we?
Yeah.
As I'm sure OSHA would love to hear about that.
And speaking of people not showing up for work, I was at the Bureau of Motor Vehicles. That was interesting.
Those people never, even when they're there, they're not there.
It was interesting. Okay, and it's interesting going to the different bureaus from from state to state. Actually, office to office is even different.
Some of them are bureaus. Some of them are departments. It depends on what state you're in.
Yeah, right. And some are the office of Secretary of State. Some are bureau. Some are department. Yeah, And I guess there's different kinds.
I always preferred the department because it makes it sound institutional and governmental, which is what it is.
I would prefer Ministry of Driver Services just because.
That's even better. That's the ultimate communist bureaucracy.
Or in communist imperialist. It works.
Whatever.
It works.
Pick your hardline dictatorship style.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it really wasn't. It was interesting how I was there to get a title. Well, my wife was there to get her driver's license replaced, and while we're there, we're going to get a title transferred from state to state that hasn't been transferred yet. And it's in my name and it's in her name. And really, the prospects of her surviving longer than me are probably pretty good. Right?
Yeah, really good. Yeah.
Yeah. So why not?
The Vegas odds are like 10-1. So,
They won't even give odds anymore. Why not have it just in her name so she doesn't have to go through the whole, send a copy of death certificate and 13 affidavits and whatever that I'm deceased to get my name off the title for a silly trailer, right? Or so you think
it's
just confusing. And I didn't understand what was confusing. It was confusing the young woman at the counter. And she just, well, you're going to have to, and I'm going to see, because my wife has a driver's license in one state and I have my commercial in our other state where we have our other property. And I'm just waiting. I'm just running the clock out on the van. When the loan is paid, I'll switch everything over. But anyway, in the state we're in now, which is clearly the state of confusion.
Yes,
So
some would even say denial.
And this is why it should be the Ministry of Driver Services, because she's like, well, I'm going to have to open a file on you. You mean you're going to create a dossier on me?
Ooh, exciting.
Right. I have a dossier.
Are you gonna get? I get a copy. You get a copy, and we destroy once the Russians don't get it. Like, what are we doing?
Exactly. Here? That's right. And the other, yeah, that's right. Just like everything in the Navy.
Well, it's everything in the government's got to be completed in triplicate. Have you tried applying for a job through them? You find the ad that you fill out the pre-application, then then you submit that because you think that's the application. No. That's the pre-application, and then you go to a different website, and then it has you put in all the same information you put in the first website. And then you submit that thinking that's the application. And then when you finally, if you do get a job interview with them, then you show up and they have you fill out a bunch of information with the same information, a bunch of paperwork with the same information again, just in case they didn't get it the first time.
Yeah, and somewhere in there you're talking to a third-party contractor,
right?
And you're not even sure
it's
why.
A whole thing.
What do they do? I don't understand. Oh, yeah.
Who are you again?
Yeah.
I'm the deputy undersecretary to the secretary.
In the Ministry of Silly-Walks.
Right, exactly.
So it was a whole confusing thing. And really, I thought, well, why can't I just sign the back of the title, and that takes my name off, right? Just like I'm selling it. I just sign the back.
Right, you think.
There's my
wrong,
ID.
But you'd think.
I got my ID. There it is. It's really me. But And it's interesting. She recognized it, and she says, "Well, we could do that, but
okay, what?
But I'll just do it so that we just create this dossier. Actually, my word, not hers. Now I'm going to make a file on you, and then it'll both be in your name. It'll be in both your names. Like, well, it's really not.
But that's not what I want.
It's really not that critical that it's in both my names. It's right. It's but." I'm trying to do this new thing where I'm not OCD autistic with everybody, just kind of going with the flow a little bit because it's less hassle for my wife to deal with when I'm
Yes.
So
and everyone else.
Right. So I just okay, sure. If that's what you want to do, I guess whatever I just told her, I said, well, you do you. If that's what you think you want to do and that's what we're going to do, what do I know? I'm only the customer. So if that's the thing, but if it turns out that that's a difficult thing, then maybe just do the sale thing and I'll sign the title and then just put it in my wife's name and that's all. It's over and done. Whichever way we can make it over and done, I'm okay with it, right? Well, then her supervisor has got a free-range manager going on there, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it's
free-range manager.
And it's an interesting layout. I've never been to a motor vehicles thing laid out the way this is. Of course, it's a different state. It's like they got just one big long counter at the end of the room, and it's not even like they have like most places. There's a counter, but then there's little in between each workstation. There's like a panel or a little separation with the like bank windows or something.
Right. The DMV in where I go for my commercial stuff, for my CDL stuff in a unspecified city in Illinois is like that. It is one long counter, uninterrupted. No panels, no nothing. It's just workstation, picture area, and that's it. That's all that's there.
Yeah, that's kind of what this is. Yeah. It's just a little. It was a permanent installation away from just a banquet table thrown down. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It went just a big long banquet table.
It's a second set of chairs on the other side and a pass through from a banquet table.
Yeah, and some computers sitting on there. That's about what it was, and I'm okay with it. It's just different, But anyway, there's a free range manager walking back and forth, listening in on everybody and interjecting herself. And so she talks to
the quality assurance czar.
Sure, let's go with that. Or
Kaz for short.
And so she's telling the person working with us that, well, you can't create a file like that. So then they asked me, have you ever had a driver's license in this state? Yeah, in the 80s, a thing. And they said, oh, that's too, we wouldn't have records from that. So I got to create a file. And then
they lost in a tragic fire? What?
Right. Which is a good thing. So if they don't have my records, then I can just start over with a clean slate from the 80s.
Right,
that's
right,
probably
yeah,
a good. That's actually a relief. So that was positive. I'm like, we don't have your records.
Yeah, all your they pull up your old record, all your speeding tickets start showing up. They're like, well, actually, you're wanted for
yeah, right.
several instances of
there's 3
criminal
warrants still
speed.
here. You've got 3 warrants out. Do you mind stepping over? Crap.
Come on, I'm in a wheelchair.
Wheel yourself over here, old man.
It's not like I'm gonna run away. I physically can't.
Looks like you are a real nuisance in the 80s. Well,
right. I mean, you try to escape from the BMV there, and you slowly load yourself in the wheelchair lift while the sirens are coming. The cop just kind of pulls up, saunters out of the squad. Sir, you really think you're getting away? Well, I was hoping.
The cop that shows up is a 3 Rock,
Right. It's equally as large.
Right.
Now, sir, so we're gonna have to do this the hard way for one of us. So
it's another O.J. Simpson low speed chase.
Low speed, yeah, it's a low speed foot chase. Yeah. You're hobbling, he's hobbling.
I'm wheeling, he's walking,
waddling, kind of. Yeah, giving you the Willy Wonka. No, stop, come back.
Yeah.
Because he's pulling his sidearm. Stop resisting. Stop resisting.
Right. There is no instant replay. This whole thing was in slow motion. Right. Yeah.
That's right. They're gonna have to speed it up for let's watch viewer convenience.
Yeah. It'll be one of those.
It's gonna look like it was filmed in slow mo.
In social media videos that they speed it up because otherwise, right?
Well, people would be bored to tears by the end of it if you don't.
This is regular speed. It really is. Trust me. Yeah. So unfortunately, no.
It's kind of the opposite. It's kind of the opposite of what they had to do for Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee was famous. They claimed that they sped the films up, and it turned out that they actually had to slow him down so that you could see what he was doing because he was so fast. This is the opposite of that, but they have to speed it back up.
This is the opposite.
So that right.
So there's
anyway.
So we got So and then she says, "Oh, you can't create a new file on him like that." So, but I just did. Well, it shouldn't work. But I got it right here.
But
then the manager's like, oh. So the manager's just like, well, it's a crazy world, and goes off to do something else to hassle somebody else. I like that. How was that helpful?
The Kaz, she came in, assured that there was quality happening. Not that it was good quality, just quality, and left.
Quality was present. Yeah.
Yeah, quality was present.
Every time we
good or bad.
Are you in a rural area? Because like,
no kidding. Whole country is parking lot.
Yeah, okay.
That's half the country is a rural area. You could, point to a spot on the map that isn't a major city and go, is that a rural area? The answer is yes.
And you're in it. Okay.
And I'm in it.
So if the listeners hear discontinuous break of the show, it's the technology.
Blame the cell towers. Blame the Be like everybody in COVID. Blame the 5G.
Blame the 5G. No, don't get me started on that. 5G is not a frequency. It's an encoding technology.
It's not 5 gigahertz. It's 5th generation. You simpleton.
That's right.
We need to bring. Can I make a case for bringing back old English insults? I've been doing it. I mean, you've known me for years. I've been calling people heathens for years.
Right.
Like,
I just that would be
heathens, simpletons. We gotta class up our insults a little bit.
Yeah, because you can only get foul and vulgar so long, and then it just becomes old. Right,
you can only get You gotta bring some class back into it. You gotta simpleton, heathen. Those are the two that come to mind. There's more, I'm sure.
Rogue,
I just can't think of any because my brain.
Rapscallion.
Yeah. Rapscallion, instead of a thug, he's a rapscallion,
Yeah, then we can bring back all those on the other terms of racial.
I put my thumb at you, sir.
Right. Okay.
Which
somehow
was a thing of anger.
We're back to so we went on. We finished the whole thing. Now I originally wasn't gonna come in at all. I was just gonna wait in the van, for this.
Wait in the car like a dog.
And eventually it required my attention because I had to sign whatever. But when we pulled up,
was requested.
Now, what was interesting is the BMV visit was interesting, but the parking was interestinger to me.
Some would even say more interesting.
Oh yeah, that.
Yes.
I'm parking, I've got my placard and I'm parking in a handicap spot. And the handicap spots are kind of grouped like an island in one end of the parking
middle
lot. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, if they're not, they want to keep all the cripples together, keep them out of sight.
Sure, and have them travel across traffic to get to the buildings. That's great.
Right,
I think
exactly.
That's excellent.
That way they're more. That way, it's a twofold operation, right? Keeps them out of the public sight, and also when they're crossing the parking lot, there's a possibility they'll get hit and possibly forever sleeped and no longer be part of the problem.
Wow. Well, aren't you a ray of sunshine?
No.
Yes,
but no one has ever accused me of that.
But yes,
I've been called many things. That is not one of them.
It definitely makes it more sporty. And so I took a spot that's farthest away from the building. I'm like, I'm going to let the other invalids get a better shot at froggering across the traffic.
Well, you're in a motorized wheelchair. You can just kind of motor over.
Yeah, and realistically, I'm not even. I get to places where, like, was at Wally World, and all the spots are taken. Right, I'm like, whatever. Yeah, that's why I had the lift.
You can just open done. As long as you can open the back doors, you can get out.
Right, that's why I had the lift done, out the back doors.
That way,
so that if I had to park in a regular spot, I can park in a regular spot, go out the back. Big deal. And I'm on a motorized
traffic.
Yeah,
send some guys.
Well,
cut some guys. Ram 1500 in half.
No, well, sure, but also no. I just take up 2 spaces. I just pull forward, and I'm pulling in, and I go to the end where there aren't any.
You do the smart way. Okay.
Yeah. So I go all the way to the end. I mean, it's a motorized thing. I can park it. I don't have to be up close.
It's more of, I know people that wouldn't even consider that the ramp is going to stick out into the travel lane.
Yeah.
And would just park normally up close to the front of the building and open the ramp and just have some moron. And that's why I said something about cutting the ram in half, because the ramp just drops out. Some dude's not paying attention, just right along his truck.
Well, I've done that too, but when I don't have to. So, yeah, I was doing that the other day. I was over at Wally World, and I parked way at the outside, the far reaches of the parking lot.
Oh, yeah, out in Timbuktu.
And I took up 2 spaces, and I was I'm up one row of spaces away from the cart corral.
Right.
And so I'm taking up all these 2 spaces, and with the cart corral there, I figured, it gives me extra room because the cart corral kind of intrudes into the next space. You know what I'm saying?
Right. It kind of takes up 4 spaces.
Yeah. So if I'm parked the next full space over from the cart corral, that gives me a little extra room.
You'd think, yes.
Right. So I did my whole thing. I'm coming back, and go ahead, pick one of your old English insults. Go ahead, a pejorative or whatever you want.
I'm gonna go with heathen. Heathen. Yeah. Heathen's a good one here.
Some heathen figures he's gonna take his janky hoopty and squeeze it between me and the cart corral, between my van and the cart corral.
Don't you know he's teaching you a lesson for taking up 2 spots?
It didn't hurt me any.
I'm just saying, that's what people think that way, man.
Well, he's only blocking the rear part of the van behind the rear wheels because I'm pulled mostly forward into the next spot in front of me. And so I have the spot behind me to deploy the ramp and maneuver my chair, right? And you would think that if that person was, I'm going to teach him a lesson, would see the blue handicap symbols on the doors.
You're really giving them a lot of credit on forethought observational abilities.
Yeah. Well, you think if they had the forethought observation ability, can you not park right? They would have a little more,
Well, also you got to remember you're also parked out in the boonies of the parking lot.
Yes, I am.
Which is where people get stupid anyway.
Well, that's true.
They get offended for some reason. We've discussed that I have a nice car or a nicer car. I would say it's super nice.
Yeah, mine too. When I take my little two-seater, I park out in the middle of nowhere.
Right, we park them out.
It's like
every time there's some clapped out pick your Ricer or Hoopty of choice. Nissan Altima, Nissan Maxima, Honda Civic, Toyota Corolla, Econobox is parked right next to it.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's like, and there's no other car in sight in that whole area, and they've got to park right next to you. Why?
Yeah, and you're parked out there because you don't want the door dings and the scratches. And
And I have seen it on forums that people do that because they think it's funny. Oh, I'm going to go park next to the nice car because they don't want other people parking next to it. They're too good for it. No, I just don't want my car damaged because I like it a lot. It's not because I'm too good for you. It's because I just don't trust you.
That's why I put those big, wide rub strips down the side of mine because I was getting bashed everywhere. So
I've given up. I've just started parking with everyone else, and for some reason I don't get any now.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It's for whatever reason. If I start parking in with the riffraff up front, it's like just people ignore the car.
Well, that's because when we park with the riffraff up front, it's kind of understood that a melee will break out any minute if you touch someone's 20-year-old, everyday driver.
Yeah. Yeah.
You put a scratch in my door. How can you tell? It's right
your
there.
Whole car's
it's a
scratch
new one.
in your door.
Right.
I know every scratch on this thing and how I got it.
Exactly. So that was my rate. I get back after doing the shopping and go to deploy the lift, and there's this other car squeezed into a non-spot right next to me, and that's typical.
I don't get it. There's something in the water, man. I'm telling you.
Something. Oh, I mean, it's like someone's been playing community college parking lot way too long.
It's a Baptist. It's not even Baptist parking lot, huh? It's community college parking lot.
Community college parking lot, because if you get there, you could get there on time for classes, but you're not going to find a parking space. So you have to get innovative as to what now is now defined as a parking space.
So those are the people that I meet at truck stops that are parked all over the place.
That's them. They're community college graduates, at least of the parking lot course. Yeah.
Yeah, parking lot courses.
Oh.
It's actually part of the math class. They do that. You got to get mathematical with how you're parking.
So geometry and vectors and
Right.
So I'm at the BMV and I'm pulled up and I parked and I've taken great.
We're back at the BMV again. Okay.
Yeah, we're back at I'm taking great care to make sure, and I get a larger than normal vehicle.
I'm gonna go on a little bit of a rant here that we need to bring back regular quad cab 8-foot bed trucks. Those need to be brought back.
I agree.
I don't understand. There's so many contractors driving around. They got these mega cab Dodges, Fords, Chevys, whatever. And it's got a 6-foot bed. So how are you going to put a sheet of plywood? Well, it's 8 foot with the tailgate down.
Some of those are
like 4.5 or 5.5 or whatever it is.
Yeah, like a 6 would be a 6.
Right. I've talked to those guys. Like, why did you get a 6-foot bed? Well, they don't offer an 8-foot bed anymore. But it's like you go to the manufacturer. I just want to go to the manufacturer and go, where do you think I'm going to put an 8-foot sheet of plywood or drywall? Oh, well, you open the tailgate. That's 8 feet.
They're just busy building Texas Cadillacs because that's what sells.
Well, right. Well, that's the thing is that it's a whole thing about cafe standards, and the trucks are held to different standards, and that's why we don't have as many sedans and station wagons and things like that.
Or station wagons that you wanted.
Yeah, we need to bring. That's another thing that needs to come back. Is station wagon. I think I went on this rant before about station wagons. We need station wagons back. I want a full-size sedan. I want a 4-door full-size car.
Yeah. That's right.
And I don't want it to be a sports car.
I want a Cadillac Eldorado that's bigger than it's as big as a pickup truck.
Even 10 years ago, you could at least get a full-size Cadillac still. Full-size 4-door. It was a CTS, 5 or whatever it was. was still a full-size car. Full-size, right? Not rental full-size, because a rental full-size is a Toyota Camry, and I want to know who considers that a full-size car.
Right.
But I want a station wagon or a full-size sedan. I don't want a pickup truck.
Datsun, a Toyota, 4 wheels and a seat. No, that's different, right?
That's a whole different thing. That's when you're stuck in Kansas City or stuck in Wichita.
You're stuck in.
Yeah. It's ridiculous that everybody's out driving pickup trucks. Now, there's something to be said for consumerism, and drive what you want, and that's what sells, and that's why they're making them. That's part of it. Part of it is regulations have gotten out of control on the car side of things, but trucks aren't regulated as heavily as far as emissions goes. So they're making more trucks because they can get away, because the standards that have been set for cars is so high that there's just no way to meet them with current technology.
And people don't want to drive a clown car anyway.
Right. I don't want to. Yeah. Right. That's what I'm saying. For a full-size sedan, the EPA standards for a full-size sedan are so high that we can't meet them with our current technology, and it be profitable
by design. And the pickup truck, the four-door pickup truck, has become quite the norm. In fact, trying to get a regular 8-foot bed was almost a special order.
You can't do it. You physically cannot order an 8-foot bed F-150 with a regular cab. You cannot do it.
Yeah,
you have to go.
It's going to be an extra cab. It's going to be.
No, you can't. You can't do it. You have to go to a 350 or a 450 to get the 8-foot bed, and then you're only going to be able to do that with a mega cab.
Yeah, with the mega cab. Yeah.
Right. So you're going to end up with a truck that's almost twice as long as your van.
Which is what you were asking for to begin with. So we come full circle, and there you go.
No, I don't want a truck I want a full-size car. I want, the only people that still make a full-size sedan are Mercedes, BMW, and Audi. The Europeans. They still make full-size, big cruisers. Your S-Class Mercedes, your A5 Audis, and your 5 Series BMWs. Those are full-size sedans. But I think your 3 Series are also considered full-size.
I mean, here in the U.S., you've got minivans that have taken the place of that. So.
Yeah, but even those are going by the wayside for pickup trucks and crossovers.
Yeah, I hate to say it, I saw a Ford Maverick up close.
Yeah.
I kind of like it. It reminds me of an Australian
I love the Maverick.
Ute.
It's okay. You want to know a crazy statistic? The Ford Maverick is the same size as my '93 Ranger. It's actually slightly larger, but not by much. The same wheelbase, roughly, right?
Yeah.
So we've come full circle back to the mini trucks of the 80s and 90s, but it's a different name because the new Ranger, the one that's out now, is the size of the F-150 from the 90s.
Yeah.
And the F-150 now is so large, it's its own category.
So do I get to talk about my observations of people in the handicap spot or no? No? All right.
No.
We'll just move on then.
We'll just move on. We do reprieves of song.
No, I was just okay. I'll just make it short.
Me going on the.
I'll make it short, like the beds of your pickup truck. I'll make it short. I'm sitting in the van. I'm watching people coming up and parking in the handicap spaces, right?
Right.
And the first person that drives up, because it's just like grocery. It's grocery store shopping mall parking, right? Right. It's just these are cordoned off for handicap access, and they've taken an extra space in between to, space it out.
Right, for the ramps or whatever.
Yeah, right. But there's still one space in front of another space. So there's two spaces kind of head to head.
Right, you're facing, head to head with somebody.
Right. But nobody's doing that. So first car that
pulling in sideways.
No, they pull in just like you would expect, but then go past the dividing line into the other space. So now they're in the other space backwards. If you know what I'm saying, they're not head to head anymore.
Right. Oh, yeah, they're pulling through.
They're pulling through. Right. But not quite all the way. So the back end of the car and it's not a car, it's an SUV, is in the other space. There isn't quite enough room. Well, somebody playing community college parking lot would be able to do it, but there isn't quite enough room for a vehicle behind, right, to pull in. And so I'm first of all, I'm looking to see if there's a handicap placard plate or placard in the window, and there's a placard in the window. And I'm like, okay, they're gonna park here. And so the older lady gets out. She's wearing her comfortable shoes, And I'm like, are we gonna park here? But then she gets out and she makes it into the building, and then whoever's driving drives off. Okay, all right, so we're okay, I guess.
Hang on. Hang on. Hold on.
What?
One moment. There's a flaw in that plan.
Okay.
Because you've already stated that the handicap parking is separate from the rest of the parking, off kind of in the corner, away from the front door.
It's its own island, right? It's
away from the front door. Like it's farther from the front door.
You have to traverse traffic to get to the building from there.
Okay. So here's what I was going to say is you've dropped off your elderly grandmother or whatever, right? I'm assuming there's other parking along the front of the building.
No, there isn't. It's just
okay.
It's one of those shopping mall type strip mall things where there's just traffic in front of the building and then parking islands.
Okay. So that makes even less sense. Why would you drop your grandmother or elderly friend or whatever off in the parking spot and then have them cross traffic to get to the BMV instead of just pulling up along front of the building and letting her out on the passenger side?
Right, from the other direction. Sidewalk. Yeah, you just come up from the other direction, just park in the yellow curb zone for a moment, let her get out, and then move on.
And then because you didn't even stay in the parking spot. You left the parking spot. So just drop her off and drive away. Why are you? What are you doing?
One part of my psyche is mollified by seeing that at least they're not going to leave the car parked there, blocking all the space. Right? Do it right. Get between the lines, for crying out loud. I got cameras on my van that I use to make sure I'm between the lines, for crying out loud.
If I can get my 80-foot semi between the lines in a parking spot at a Walmart, you can do it too in your minivan.
Right. So I'm like, okay, that's great, but then that's not so great. So it just continued. More people were pulling up and parking like that, and it just became college parking lot all over again, community college parking lot. And it was really getting, I don't know, it was getting me a little, it's starting to get on my nerves. I was watching this.
Getting heated.
I don't know about that, but certainly irritated. Because with only one exception, everybody getting out was able-bodied.
Driving grandma's car or grandpa's car or uncle's car or auntie's car or whatever.
The person that needed help, right, was not the driver.
I need help. I'm disabled.
Right. So I don't know.
You and I have seen that before you even were handicapped. We have seen that multiple times. I see it. There are some truck stops have disabled parking, like handicap parking. You can get a handicap placard for your semi.
Yeah. Right.
I have seen guys that had them. I have seen guys that needed them. I have seen guys that probably shouldn't need them if they didn't just sit on their ass all day, but that's, besides the point.
Yeah.
There are gentlemen that are my size or yours, what you used to be, back before you lost a bunch of weight. Yes.
Ample,
more than ample. Yes. Ample plus. Mm-hmm. And they waddle their way in, and I think the only reason they have a handicap placard is because of their weight.
It can happen.
I could qualify. I was told that I could qualify for a handicap placard because of my weight, because of how much I weigh.
Yeah,
I could get one. I don't want one for the same reason you were told that back in the 90s. Remember?
Yeah, that's right. And also, why when I did outfit the van, I wanted to be able to use a regular parking space,
right,
and not necessarily have to use a spot. Because there is someone who does have a worse day.
A heart condition that not figuratively, literally can only walk probably from that parking spot to the front doors of the Walmart, and that's as far as they can get before they are done.
And on a bad day, I'm in that category. It just depends on how the old hearts act.
Right, but I've seen people that don't look disabled that are disabled because of stuff like that. They have heart conditions or lung conditions.
But it's like when I was working as a driver's consultant for a charity that will go nameless, that had to transport a lot of people. And as the director of that division, the drivers, I was in a drivers meeting with my drivers, and I was going over stuff and ask them if they had suggestions, and They all like, well, why don't you get handicap placards for the buses? I'm like, why? You guys aren't disabled.
You're not disabled. You're the one pushing the wheelchair. Use your legs, fat ass.
Our passengers are disabled. Our passengers are very disabled. And we clearly pull up to the buildings. We're at our destination.
So much so that they cannot drive themselves. That's why you're here. Oh, no.
Right. And we get them right up to the building and all that. But to do our job, we don't need to be taking a space from someone else who's on their own.
Yeah, that's solo disabled.
You can, and besides, you're going to put a bus in one of those handicap spaces. Yeah, they're big. Some of those are really big spaces, but you're not going to put a bus there.
You're not putting a bus. I mean, not those buses. I've seen those buses. You're not. Yeah. I mean, some of them, yeah, but the sideways ones maybe. But not the
even then, it's pushing the issue, and so then you're not taking up just one space. You're just causing a whole bunch of problems for other handicapped people, and we're not doing that. Just so the drivers a little more has a little more convenience. I don't think so.
No, my truck, just my semi truck, takes up 4 spots, like 4 cars.
Right,
it's that wide and that long.
I'm surprised.
I mean, then those buses.
Those buses are bigger. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, just my tractor.
Yeah. So
like if I go to Walmart, I have to park in the boonies because I'm going to take up 4 spots.
Of course, there'll be one guy with a really nice car I'll park next to you.
Yeah, but see, like I would willingly park next to a nice truck in a Walmart because if the truck is nice, they take care of it. They're more cognizant. I'm not going to go park next to a Volvo Mafia that's got 6 different colored panels on his truck and missing a headlight.
Yeah,
that guy doesn't know what's around him when he's walking.
And of course, and the other headlights like held in with zip ties,
like zip ties and duct tape. Yeah, zip ties, duct tape.
And then you realize some of those zip ties and duct tape are holding on part of the fender.
Right. Yeah. And maybe one of the mirrors. it's right. Yeah, that guy. So we're not going to park even in the same county as that guy.
So I'm basically sitting there observing the handicap space version of community college parking lot, and it wasn't.
You're people watching.
Oh my. So
this goes back to that kind of harkens to my theory that people walk how they drive. Like people push shopping carts how they drive.
You might be right. I hadn't thought about that.
I've been saying that for probably 20 years at this point now. I've had that thought in my back of my head ever since I started driving. People drive how they push their if you want to people watch someone push their shopping cart through the Walmart or whatever, mall, Walmart, Target, whatever, and then watch how they leave that store. I guarantee you they push their shopping cart the same way they drive.
Yeah, you might be right. Or it could be the other way around.
I mean, but that's kind of same,
Yeah.
They drive is how they push their, they push their shopping cart, how they drive how they push their shopping cart, same.
So things to watch out for while you're doing your holiday shopping out there, everyone.
If you see someone that's got their shopping cart in the middle of the aisle and they're 6 aisles over, run.
Or you've got the old friends who haven't seen each other for at least 6 hours.
Right, and they're one's facing one way and one's facing the other way.
Right,
and they're talking in the middle, side by side. And they're stopped, and you can't get around them, and you end up just standing there looking at them like, "Are you gonna move? I need to get to the tomato sauce," and you're blocking it.
And their kids are just creating mayhem.
Right, their kids are in the toy section on the other side of the store. You can hear them riding around on a bicycle, screaming. Shouldn't you be dealing with that? Like that sounds like it's a problem. That's what the employees are for.
Right, I guess.
I'm gonna lift my shopping cart. I'm gonna beat you over the head with it.
So I'm at the service counter at the dealer getting with my van because because of the leak, right?
The new leak, the brake leak.
The brake leak, right? And so there's been brake leak has been finally diagnosed. It's coming from the banjo bolt that holds the brake line to the caliper.
Is it just loose?
Well, even if it is, how does that happen?
That's a good question. Did it not get washers?
Well, that's what I was asking. So I was out there. So they come back to me. They said, "Well, you might be able to just tighten it." And I'm talking with the counter guy and the tech, and he might be able to just tighten because apparently Ford, in their infinite wisdom, doesn't sell just the bolt and the crush washers. That you have to buy the entire line kit for the hose, and that comes with new bolt and crush washer, right?
Right, because you couldn't just sell a banjo bolt and a crush washer for like $10 and call it a day. No.
So I'm talking this over. First, they give me the estimate, which is actually it's very, very, very low estimate. It's not very expensive, and but then we're talking about it. So, what could I put it on the lift? Can I just put a wrench on it and tighten it? And of course, if it's already stressed or pre-stressed, like a lot of Ford bolts are, right? They're torque to yield, so they're one-time use, you know. And then I said, well, if it breaks. It's a banjo bolt. It's hollow in the center. I'll just put a square extractor in the hole and turn it back out, you know. And that's when the tech informs me, well, they've changed the design. Apparently, the bolt has a keyway cut into it. It's just got a channel cut in the threads, like a keyway.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. That's where the thread.
That's where the fluid goes.
That's so stupid. It's such. No wonder it leaks. No wonder it's leaking.
Correct. Oh, it's supposed to be stronger, but it needs to be stronger because you're going to really have to hammer down on that thing to get it.
Yeah, you're going to have to crank. Yeah. You're going to have to make that Russian, not even German spec. It's going to be Russian spec.
Yes, correct.
Especially for listeners out there that don't know what that is. German spec is good and tight. Russian spec is even tighter.
That's right. Yeah, that's many ooga-doogas.
Yeah, so it's all the ooga-doogas. You're going to have to ooga-dooga the crap out of that thing.
So you're not getting the benefit of the threads providing some barrier to leakage. You're relying on that inner crush washer, 100%.
Right, and if the crush washer is bad or it's pre-crushed for your convenience.
Or in this case, I think knowing that, all of a sudden it started to make sense. I'm like, I think I know what happened. I still think that during the whole R&R process of that side, they overextended the lower control arm, the suspension got overextended, and it pulled that line. It pulled on that flexible brake hose line. Pulled it hard.
And uncrushed your washer.
And just it made that little block that the bolt goes through down the caliper that has crush washers on either side. It rotated ever so slightly, and all that, and that was all that was needed to break the seal.
Man, I'd be out trying to find a traditional banjo bolt that would fit that.
So I'm going back and forth, and we're trying to check. Well, should I try tightening it? So my wife, who's been just over in the waiting room, comes walking over. It's like, so what are we doing? I'm like, well, we're just talking over, maybe getting up in the lift and tightening the bolt, or maybe putting some new crush washers in. And it's like, how much is the new part?
She started staring at the dealer.
They tell her, and she's like, what? And we're messing around for this, and you're going to go through all the for it's just doing it's great.
I like it.
And the counter man, the tech just kind of slinks away. And the counter man starts typing on the computer and gives me the knowing, yep, nod. And I give him the nod back. Yep, go ahead. What in guy talk, that's okay.
The wife has approved the money. Just do it.
No, it's not even she's approved the money. She's still in mid-wife mode. And we've already ordered the part. It's on its way from the warehouse. I mean,
right. That's the wife is tired of being here. She's gonna just spend the money so that we can get the hell out of here.
Because we know. Well, got to go back. So, but she's like, I've got 2 other projects waiting to get on the lift that I have to get off the lift before I can put the van on the lift. So it's going to take 6 weeks before I get it tightened to even see if it's going to fix it. And if it's not, then we got to start this process over again. So just order the part and get it over with. But before she even got to that point,
you'd already made the decision.
Yeah, both of us were like, okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, okay. Yeah, well, I mean, because at that point you're not talking about it because you're trying to figure out if that's the real solution. You're just enjoying the conversation of what the solution could be. You've already, the counter guy knows, and the mechanic knows that the only real solution is what I used to say as a kid: throw the parts at it.
Mm-hmm. Needs parts. Especially because
that was my saying back when I was a kid. Still my saying as an adult: needs parts.
So that's and let's face it, if it got shifted because that line got pulled, and it had to have been pulled hard.
Yeah, it probably needs a line anyway, just in case.
Yeah. So the question isn't whether or not the inner liner of that hose is fractured. The question is how much of it's
how
fractured.
bad. Right. How bad is it fractured? Yeah.
Right. And
so
at what point
just,
is it going to fail? It's not.
Right,
if it's going to fail. Right. Just
when?
throw the parts at it, and
Just throw the parts at it. It'll most likely fix the problem. If you've got a greater than 70% chance that's going to fix the problem, and you're done with it.
Right. And if I ever have major suspension work done again, I'm going to put a spy camera on the suspension and going to watch the tech in action because.
Just imagine the tech takes the tire off. There's a GoPro zip tied to the spring.
Right. One of them
looking right at him.
Shock-proof mount. Yeah. Just hello.
Right. Hello. Oh man, I'm gonna have to do this the right way.
Again. Yeah. So I got to call him back. The part finally came in, so I got to schedule it.
Boy.
But I just thought it was funny how all the guys there behind the counter just immediately, we know it. We know what this is.
Yep.
And the tech didn't want to be any part of it. He's like, okay.
Nope. If I was that tech, I'd have done the same thing. All right, well, that's time for me to leave. Would you look at the time?
Oh, look at the time. Okay. And on that note, I guess we need to auger this thing in.
Yeah.
Because, the listeners need to do something happy. Thanks everyone for listening. And I guess there's a lot of Christmas stuff going on with a lot of people. So just be careful out there and don't get too.
The weather's going to turn here, so be careful out there, folks. It's going to get icy.
Yep. And I'll have a report from the trenches of Christmas parties. Hopefully next week for our Christmas special.
And I'll have a report from the trenches of the road for the Christmas special. So
All right. Well, Merry Christmas especially to our military people listening, and even to you guys at the CIA listening post. Hope all's going well.
Especially you guys. You guys don't get home much.
So with that,
overthrow a government.
See you next time.
While you're at it.
We'll see you next time, and adios.
Adios.
Arrivederci. Hasta la vista.
Adios.
Adios, muchachos, compañeros. Will you get out of here?
Now we get to the portion of the podcast where the Drake fights with the podcast. Not the people of the podcast, the actual podcast itself.
With the podcast, yeah. So let me see if I can, see next week. Like boxing.
See with your computer.
Time for. I don't think I'm going to make it.
Strange, he left by the balcony.